Thank you for joining me on this all-new Triple Effect broadcast. If you are seeking self-awareness, interested in personal development, or even professional development, the Triple Effect is right for you. Our theme is based around the universal law of balance and polarity. What we say, do, and feel will produce our best behavior, challenge status quo, or even distribute our energy via vibrations through time and space. This is your place for connection and reflection. You can always learn more at www.changethegame1000.org or pick up my book, 8 Ways to Be 10 Times Better. You can pick that up at Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, or even at my own site, 8 Ways to Be 10 Times Better.info. Thank you and enjoy. It's 2020 and we're back. We're very excited, more excited than we were before on the Triple Effect because we're coming to you live. We're coming to you with some new and fresh information, something that's relevant to your situation and mine. As citizens, we want to know, how do we prepare for what's coming? How do we put ourselves in the best position to win in the fourth industrial revolution? As I said, I'm Rashid Hill, and I'll be your host for the Triple Effect. In this new year, this new time, and this new adventure I'm going to take you on. As you know, we always capture within our conversation the theme of the law of balance and polarity, because we want to make sure that people benefit from this, and not just from the direct, but the indirect, not just on the surface, but it penetrates into your being, the lessons and the knowledge that is provided to you through this forum. I put a lot of time into this so that I may be able to reach out to you and help you understand something about our society, something about ourselves, and something about what's coming, and to prepare you in the right way for things that will directly impact and affect you, your family, and your lives around you. So definitely buckle up, because today is going to be one of those exciting times on the Triple Effect. I'm the host of this incredible online broadcast, like I said, that we call the Triple Effect. I am also the author of 8 Ways to Be 10 Times Better. Some of you may know about my book. It is a personal, professional, and social guide, personal and professional development guide that will help you to become better in all ways and facets of your life. I am also the author of what I call WorkEnomics, something that I've been working on, something that is exciting to deliver, and all of you will see and hear more about that pretty soon. Today is that first day, the first taste of WorkEnomics. WorkEnomics is based on the study of the future of work. WorkEnomics is how we position ourselves in the fourth industrial revolution to win in the fifth digital reaction. See, I've been studying a little bit about the fourth industrial revolution based upon reading the book by Andrew Yang, The War on Normal People. This book, very powerful. I recommend everybody get an opportunity to read this. In the book, he talks about many extraordinary points that are in reference to our career and our condition. Not necessarily career condition, but career and condition. Our economy is being seriously affected by automation, and it has sped up to a pace that we, as the human element in resources, HR, have been steadily phased out of many jobs and tasks in many corporations in our economy. This being said, there are companies like Amazon, Google's parent company, Alphabet, Facebook, Apple, Tesla, Microsoft, Coinbase, IBM, FedEx, Walmart, and even UPS. They're all disruptors in this fifth generation race. I can get into Huawei, I can talk about ZTE, I can talk about Nokia in the fifth generation race, as well as Ericsson and Samsung. These are straight leaders in the fourth industrial revolution that are taking it to the next level with the fifth generation race. The only way to combat that I've seen based on my studies and based on my writings is creating WorkEnomics, the fifth digital reaction. And I'll get into that more in a few minutes. But I want to kick it off a little bit with what Andrew Yang says in his book, The War on Normal People. He says, we must all do what we can to reduce the worst effects of the Great Displacement. It should be the driving priority of corporations, governments, and nonprofits for the foreseeable future. We should invest in education, job training, and placement, apprenticeships, relocation, entrepreneurship, and tax incentives, anything to help make hiring and retaining workers appealing. And then we should acknowledge that for millions of people, it's just not going to work. In the United States, we want to believe that the market will resolve most situations. In this case, the market will not solve the problem. Quite the opposite is going to happen. See, when I look at that, it tells me not to wait for something to happen, not to look around and see who can help me, not to be the person that says, well, the government will take care of it. As we know, universal basic income is definitely one of the central components of Andrew Yang's policies when he was running for president, but it doesn't stop there. Universal basic income was just the beginning. And so that's one part of a solution, but there are so many more parts that are required to be looked at and seriously taken into context when it comes to the fourth industrial revolution and how do we react to that. That's why I call it the fifth digital reaction. So our reaction as citizens and workers in this society, we have to look at it from a different perspective, because all of us will not directly benefit from the volunteer force or the gig economy. Because if we're actually working as an employee, then it's different than those that are volunteers, as well as those that are entrepreneurs, business owners, or solopreneurs, like your artists, like your painters, like your musicians. You know, these are people that have responsibilities as well, and they can be automated away if they don't get in the game and protect their future. So today I want to talk about WorkEnomics. I want to talk about what the fourth industrial revolution that is here, what it's doing for the benefit of our economy, as well as what it's doing personally, and how do we prepare not to become victims of this particular revolution. When I talk about what do we do about it, when I talk about how do we handle it, then I am proposing that we look at some issues, some areas, food for thought, that you want to consider in your plans going forward, as far as retirement, as far as if you're 10 years out in your job from retirement, what do you need to do to prepare yourself for what's coming? Because you don't want to be 10 years out and 5 years down the road, your job gets automated and they ask you to leave. Then your retirement, now you got to start over. Now you got to go and find something else to supplement that last 5 years, which turns into another 10 years because you're having to battle some economic issues, some environmental issues within that company that you didn't prepare for. I don't know if you've seen the Netflix show, American Factory. This was produced by the Obamas and some of their partners and friends and business partners. And it talked about how in 2008, you had the GM factory in Ohio that went belly up, or basically went out of business. And because a lot of obviously you got the financial sector, you had the financial crash, but then you had a lot of competition overseas that's been building up and building up and building up. Asia has been building up for a long time. And therefore, when the crash happened in the US, then the Asia market rose to the occasion. And so with all the profits and all the profitability and the affluence in the Asian market, when GM crashed and burned because the US decided not to bail them out like they did with Lehigh, Coca, and Chrysler, then the Chinese businessman stepped in and put up his hard-earned money so he can get into the US economy. How do you get into the US market and actually start to guide the fourth industrial revolution while we were still in the third industrial revolution? It's amazing because they were already that far ahead. And like Andrew Yang talked about, if the US decided to basically stop the Office of Technology Assessment, whereas you had an office that was all about emerging technologies and how to stay on top of what was evolutionary in the digital space and automated and robotics and intelligent automation and augmented reality and so on and so forth, all of these emerging technologies, there was an office that actually looked into those things and was supplying that information to our US government in order to stay ahead of the game. And we were very much ahead of the game for years. But in about 25 years ago, 1994, they decided that we didn't need that anymore and they canceled it. Now, they did revive it, just like a lot of topics today are being revived at the government level, state as well as federal, based upon conversations that are definitely directly coming from The War on Normal People, which is the book by Andrew Yang. Now, that we're paying attention to our future, then let's talk about WorkEnomics. Let's talk about solutions. Let's talk about what do we do when you're faced with automation coming into your factory, coming into your workspace. What do you do when life happens? Let's take a look. Now, as I do this presentation, I'm recording this through an actual webinar web class as well as straight podcast. So I want to show you that are watching, what do we do in these situations? Because this is vitally important. So what are you going to do? What actions would you take when life happens? And what happens is automation. Fourth industrial revolution is here. It's displacing people. It's happening. You have the truck drivers that are going to be displaced in the next 5 to 10 years across America because automated trucks or self-driving trucks are already on the road being tested and just trying to get past all the regulations and the safety issues and the safety concerns that are obviously very, very, very true and very noticeable when you really dig into it. People really don't want a self-driving truck to go out of control in the middle of the night or even the middle of the day, going across country, through on Interstate 5 or Interstate 20 or 10 or 90 or 255. We don't want to see that happen because that could be a disaster, especially if it has, buttermilk in the back. So I want to get into what are you going to do, right? Because here in California, I'm in San Diego, as you know, and me and the organization We Will Rise, in partnership with some very smart people here in the human resource, talent management, talent acquisition, human capital, whatever you want to call it, space, we are putting together career and job prep programs, a series of programs, so that we can educate people on what we need to do now, and then we can get into how do you prepare for what's coming into your particular industry. And so we've broken down the jobs that are being affected, the most popular jobs, and what, based on surveys, what people are looking for in a job. And at the top of the list right now, not necessarily millennials, not even Gen Y, but you're talking boomers and Generation X. Most people are looking for flexibility in location of work, like telework, for instance. I'm a management analyst as well as project manager at the naval base here. And one of the things that's become very, very beneficial and offered during the recruitment process is flexible work location or telework, which is very interesting because 4 years ago, we didn't even talk about it and didn't have the support at the government level. Now it's part of the conversation to hire people and to attract quality people and stay on at the federal government level. So it's very interesting how that's happening. I'm not sure that the private industry is doing that as much, but I know there are people that obviously work from home. But this is definitely something that is on the front minds of a lot of millennials. When they get hired, they want to know, hey, can I be in Texas and work for an office in California? Why not? If you have the credentials and you have a computer and 5G as well as AI and machine to machine, M2M learning, I mean, why not? You shouldn't have to travel to an office when you can do your work right there online. And obviously, we have so many different web-based conference lines. It's just no reason for you to have to show up into an office. And it saves a lot of money and so on and so forth. But I won't get into that. In California, there's a new law about the gig economy, or independent representatives, independent contractors that are doing work for organizations or even people individually, and how they want that structure to protect the contractor more so than they have in the past. And there's some situations that have come up with truck drivers and seeing if they fall into that category, because that will cause the companies a lot of problems if they are allowed to stay as independent contractors versus employees. Because we know as a business, you want to have the choice to bring them on as employees or bring them on as independent contractors, like Uber, Lyft, and these type of companies. That would change the dynamic tremendously if they had to hire them on as contractors or give them benefits as employees, even though they're contractors. So I digress, because we want to talk about, what are you going to do when you are faced with the situation? The fourth industrial revolution, knowledge is known. Knowledge is in your hands right now. What are you going to do with that knowledge? In our economy, while we're faced with the fourth industrial revolution, we are trying to win the 5G race. Well, the age of automation is here. It's been here for a long time. The Asian community is looking at 6G while we're fighting to dominate in 5G. So what does that tell you? That we need to catch up. Instead of chasing our tail, we need to get ahead of the game. And obviously we're not, because we're still trying to figure out, what do we do in our economy in the fourth industrial revolution? This age of automation is dominating the industries, and it will take over. Now, how many of you, and this question has always come up when we talk about the future of work and WorkEnomics, is how many of you have seen, to nail this home, because you may not really understand the impact, your McDonald's automated, right? You don't have to go talk to anybody. All you need to do is punch in what you want on the screen, and then your food comes out on the other end after you pay for it. How do you pay for it? You can just use your Apple Pay, Samsung, Android Pay. There's you don't even, now I just got a card in the mail from my credit union, and I was like, wow, I got a replacement, but I'm like, that's like 4 months away. Why they send me a replacement so early? Well, when I looked at it, you obviously have the chip that's in there. It's got all your information embedded, but this one looked a little different. And so when I started reading, what was the insert there? What are they talking about? Why did I get it so early? And they said, no, it's just actually, where did I put it? I got it in here somewhere. So I'm looking at it and I'm surprised, because it's a matter of tap and pay. And I hadn't had that before. So this is just the automation is happening. I didn't ask for it. They sent it to me and said, hey, all you got to do is tap and pay, because they're saying this is going to make your payments easier. This is making your life easier. So they are dictating to me what is making my life easier from a financial perspective. So think about that for a second. I didn't ask, I didn't even have a choice. So do you not believe that the CEOs, the companies, the large companies, the Googles and the Alphabets, the Facebooks and intelligent automation and anywhere automation, Cloudera, XY Findables, these are companies that are revolutionizing proof of location in the blockchain space. And here we are with 5G. You got Huawei, you got ZTE, you got Nokia, Ericsson. These are real deal. Red Hat. I mean, the list goes on. And how many of you have seen a Nokia phone in forever? Nokia was the bomb back in 90 and 2000. But guess what? Ericsson took over. But how many Ericsson phones are at the top? Android came along. Samsung revolutionized Android, and Android is the dominant phone right there with Apple, right? But when you start to do the research, when you talk about the fourth industrial revolution and the tentacles, the many arms that it has, then you start to see who's actually creating the chips behind 5G, who's creating the infrastructure for the telecommunication companies to run 5G and 6G and AI, AR, automation, and so on and so forth. And the robotics, that's coming from Nokia and Ericsson and Qualcomm predominantly. They're behind the scenes and they found their niche and they're leading the way. So the age of automation is here. What are you going to do? How are you going to understand what we need to do next? What is the fourth industrial revolution, you asked? It's all about AI, VR, AR, virtual reality, augmented reality, 5G, fifth generation communications or wireless communications, robotics, automation, intelligent automation, blockchain, Internet of Things, vehicle to everything, smart cities, smart bases, smart offices, smart warehouses. It goes on and on and on. Essentially, fourth industrial revolution is designed to bring together the digital, physical, and biological systems, yes, we're talking medical systems as well, into one. A level of automation that integrates digital economies and digital technologies to complement and enhance the human experience. That's the key. We're not saying that we're going to eliminate all human jobs. We're going to eliminate all human experiences within the workplace and replace them with robots. That's not happening. This is not, Skynet. This is not the Terminator. At times, yes, human activity will be replaced by AI, robotics, RPA, which is robotic process automation, as well as digital process automation and blockchain to secure that network. There are times that there will be actual positions that will definitely go away based on cost effectiveness. How many times do you get automated telephone calls from teleprompters, teleworkers, so on and so forth? Those people don't even pick up until you pick up. So you understand that on the other end, there is an automated dialer that's calling your number. And when you pick up, then somebody actually picks up the phone and talks to you. That company that probably did that 10 years ago had a staff of 50 to 60. That same company has software with a bot running in the background, dialing all these numbers, and maybe 3 people sitting in there. When somebody picks up, one of those 3 people that used to be 60 are the ones that are talking to you, because most of us don't pick up. So here's a note real quick. Did you know that 84% of companies surveyed in the US said they are looking to automate jobs in their particular companies? 81% say they're willing to retrain existing employees, and 65% plan to outsource and get the talent that they need. Now, you may find that interesting, which I do too, because it is interesting. But one of the things that is of value is that, one, most companies will try their best to look inside and see who or what type of talent they have when they start to roll out more automation within their companies. The second part of that is over half the companies that they talk to said they're going to outsource it and get the talent they need. I just took another blockchain as a service or blockchain for business course. And in there, when I first did it, there was probably 1 or 2 certifications out there. Now, 3 years later, there's numerous people teaching about blockchain. One thing they talk about is the future of employment or opportunities to use the blockchain knowledge, similar to coding, but more in depth, and doesn't take the same type of language, but it does use Python as well as the Java. So what's interesting is for every one project, there's not enough actual blockchain engineers. But for 20, there's like one blockchain engineer per 20 to 60 jobs, depending on what country, depending on, what they're trying to do, what type of technology, because a lot of them, they'll shift from different technologies over time. So with the blockchain, there's probably one blockchain engineer or professional to 20 plus projects that are looking to use blockchain technology to upgrade or update their systems. So think about that for a second. And the average pay with maybe 1 or 2 years of blockchain experience is between $300,000 and $500,000 per year. So that alone, blockchain alone, if you understand how to transfer from regular coding, doing apps, to Polarity with Ethereum, smart contracts, how to create the digital and distributed ledger technology. If you understand how to create that, then you have a future. You are part of the 5th digital reaction. So your WorkEnomics concept and forward looking will work for you. So what is the 4th industrial revolution, and how does it look for me as a consumer, as a person that's in this particular situation? If you have questions, if you have comments, if you have concerns, hey, you can always get in touch with me. We can talk a little bit more. If you have the organization, if you have a company, if you have a situation where you want to know more about this 4th industrial revolution, how it affects your company and the future of your work and workers, then definitely get in touch with me. I'm all about WorkEnomics. It's something that I study, something that I have created as part of my 5th digital reaction solution to the future of work and the concerns that people have. So let's get into the future of work under the 4th industrial revolution. In this particular setting, people want to know, are robots going to take my job? That's really the question, pretty much the only question. So when I talk about call centers and how you can pretty much automate that process, think about it for a second. A call center. How much of a call center do you need that's human? Most call centers are answering questions about products, about places, about processes that are written somewhere, right? Or there's a compliance issue. In the Navy or in the DoD, Department of Defense, military and non-military, anybody that travels, official travel, has to go through what they call House of Goods or Personal Property Office. That being the case, it's all driven by regulations. The federal government is driven by regulations. So why wouldn't the federal government, the U.S. federal government, why wouldn't they be at the forefront of solving the issues with automation of jobs in this economy? Because everything is driven by a law, driven by regulation, publication, policy, all of that It starts at the government level. So I can tell you the answer, but whole different topic right there. So under the fourth industrial revolution, under the auspices of an example like the call center in a place like personal property or household goods, or even logistics, order, shipping and receiving, order taking, and customer service, it's all driven by regulation. So if I take an automated system, if I take a robotic process and upload all the regulations in there with all of the additional addendums as well as policies, and give them some examples of what might be asked and how to respond. If I built a system like that, would I need a human there to run a call center? The simple answer would be no, you don't need a human. But of course, the human element helps the process, because there's always a new issue or something that pops up that would require out-of-the-box thinking. But M2M or machine-to-machine learning will help that with AI and IoT. It will help that process, and then they will learn how to respond pretty much to any question that the customer asks. So in essence, no, you do not need a human body in a call center. So people want to know, in the fourth industrial revolution, is my job safe? Yeah, pretty much. So we have the first, second, third, and fourth industrial revolution. So how will work change in the future? Well, at least 30% of the activities associated with the majority of occupations in the US could be automated, which includes even knowledge tasks that were previously thought to be safe. This echoes what executives see, as well as prompted by this guy, Rick Jensen, the chief talent officer at Intuit. He said, the workforce is changing massively. So let's see what we can expect in the future. So I'm introducing you to the fourth industrial revolution and a response to the future of work, and how we fit in and what we can do to position ourselves to win, and what I have coined and what I am creating as the fifth digital reaction. So within an organization, positions will be more fluid, and a strict organizational chart will likely be tossed out in favor of more project-based teams. So like I said, with the Gen Z, even the millennials, we really have a lot of people that are working as professionals and contractors or freelancers in what we call the gig economy. You're going to want to be able to move around and be free to handle your business, but at the same time produce and be loyal to your freedom. Thanks to mobile technology and that's readily available with internet access, remote workers are already doing that in a common sense. Employees won't need to be in the same location. You can use WebEx, you can use Zoom, you can use Web Ninja. There's so many platforms you can use. Join Me. There's a lot of platforms that you can talk to your team without being in one place. We do it every week to create the project for career and job preparation here in San Diego. What does our future workforce look like? Artificial intelligence algorithms and intelligent machines will be your co-workers. The human workforce will need to develop a level of comfort and acceptance for how man and machine will collaborate using the best that both bring to the workplace. Technology will be augmenting your jobs, not necessarily in the computer, but there will be man versus machine and man along with machine in your workplace. So prepare yourself. People will need something more than a paycheck as a motivation to work. Like I said, there will be different incentives because personal development opportunities, the latest tech gadgets, those are some of the things that millennials as well as Gen Z are looking for to be wooed into working for a specific company and at a specific level. You have to have something different to motivate people to come on out and work for your company. But these are some of the top folks that graduated from, some of the top organizations as well. So not only will employees want to learn throughout their career, but they will also need to learn new skills. You know, the government wants to reskill or upskill you. You know, if you're in your company and you want to upskill or learn a new skill so you can adapt to what's coming, this is perfect because you have some trust and you have some longevity with that organization. But if you're new coming out of college, you need to prepare yourself a little differently. And augmented reality is pretty much the way to go with Oculus type setting where you have the big glasses that come over. So this is a perfect way to get yourself prepared for the future of work and the fourth industrial revolution. Be a lifelong learner and you will win in this particular race. So this is my view of how we as citizens, workers, part of the working economy, we must prepare ourselves properly in order to win in the fourth industrial revolution, preparing ourselves with WorkEnomics through the fifth digital reaction. I will give you more information about that in the future. This is something that I'm working on. This is something that I'm getting ready to publish as a body of work. But it is very important, vital to you to learn how do you position yourself, right, in order to produce the best outcome for you and your family and to contribute to a larger society that's more automated, more digital, and more robotic oriented. You have to understand that there are ways to fit in to that new economy, but you got to take the time to learn it. You got to take the time to position yourself properly. Now, one thing I want to leave you with is coming up here in April, April 18th, we will rise and our committee of leaders in the community, we want to invite you in San Diego, come on out to an event we're having at the Skyline Library, 10 to 2, and we're going to be hosting some experts in the HR field, as well as talent acquisition, human capital. We're going to be looking at resumes. We're going to be talking about the interview process, the mental aspect as well as the physical aspect. And you know, the physical aspect includes the appearance. It includes the way you carry yourself and what you do when you're sitting in front of the hiring manager as well as the HR person or the gatekeeper of that organization. And so I invite you to be part of our success series in that space, and we will be bringing more events as we go along. So this is what we do. I am Rashid Hill, and I have enjoyed our time together on the Triple Effect. This is episode 23, and I will be posting up more information about what I call WorkEnomics and the fifth digital reaction to the fourth industrial revolution. This has been a great episode.